Well, hello. This is your cousin Sheri, and you're watching the Quite Trippy podcast. I took a break for a couple of weeks, but I'm back now. I had a birthday, I had an art show, and this Saturday I was on the Quite Frankly podcast for the Saturday night broadcast, which was a lot of fun. Got to tell a lot of ghost stories and other cool things. A little bit of politics, a lot of crazy stuff. And we carved a pumpkin. Or Anthony carved a pumpkin. So that was a good time. Wow, I've had so many things I've written down and shows I've prepared, but I didn't do any of them because the news is just changing so fast. And I decided to sit back, make some popcorn, just take it in for a little bit rather than I have to put something out and then have the whole story change by the end of the day. So my take on things is that they're having problems. I think 8 Coon, I think that's how you're going to say 8 Coon or something like that. It got attacked, so that delayed Q coming back. And anyone who thinks Q is not a plan that the president is a part of by now, really, you should really know. And just you can't say anything about it unless you actually go into the Q drops and look at everything, because they're bringing up topics that are coming up now. And they brought it up 2 years ago. This has been a plan. They've hit everything that they were supposed to, and now apparently tomorrow is the day that Hillary might get arrested. But I don't actually think that's going to happen. I do think that they're going to do a sweep soon, and there's going to be a few arrests. And the IG report, whatever's in that IG report, no wait, not the IG, the FISA. I'm not sure if is that the IG. It might be. I don't know. That's damning, and Q says it's going to bring down the House. So I kind of believe that, the way people are acting. They're behaving so irrationally that something's got to be in there. Now, as far as the impeachment thing goes, it's ridiculous. However, the killing of the ISIS leader, that's very interesting to me. Very interesting that during this impeachment thing that is so important and all-consuming for the Democrats, that Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff would need to go on a Codell over there. So, could it be? There are some theories that maybe they met with Al Baghdadi, whatever his name is, and gave away his location, and that gave the team all they needed to locate him. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes out, because I think everything's going to come out. And I'm really worried about California. There's a ton of fires now going on there, and more people are getting their electricity turned off. So I feel like it's got to be some sort of an Agenda 2030 thing. They're really testing everything out on California. So because they're about as corrupt as you can get. Gavin has been groomed for his role, and I don't know. It's sad to me, and it could happen to any one of us in any state that we're in. So it should be something that everybody should be freaking out about. If you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter and start tweeting. Call your congressman. These things. It's time to start stomping our feet and sending letters and making your voice heard in any way you can. I wasn't going to do a podcast today, but, I took my own advice. So if I could get to one person just to say, wake up. And if you're sitting idly by just watching YouTube videos, it's time to take that extra step, the one extra step, to try and convince someone about what's really going on. Or call a congressman. Like I said, just take an action. Take one action today, and that's good enough. And tomorrow, take 2. And keep your ears open for people that are organizing, because it's getting crazy. I don't know. It's important. So I am going to pause this for a second. I paused it. I didn't have my paper up to see what I wanted to talk about. The things that we missed, or you missed, that I didn't talk about yet. Durham's probe goes criminal. Okay, we know about all that stuff. Cummings' funeral. That's a whole... I wanted to do a whole podcast on that and just kind of go through every speech. I watched the whole thing. And what a production. And, maybe he would have had an overblown production if, I don't know, if times weren't like they were. But I feel like it was an opportunity. They took it. They took the opportunity and they ran with it. And being eulogized by Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Obama, his wife, Nancy Pelosi, and his wife doing a real good job auditioning for her role as the next congressman. But hopefully we can get somebody in there capable that can turn Baltimore around. That'd be nice. Someone that can take the aid that's given to them by the government and actually use it for the people. What a concept. Okay, so we got Clapper melting down. Did you see Clapper? I thought that was the funniest clip, where he's just and his head's saying no when he's saying yes. You gotta check out the Clapper clip, the Clapper clipper. And Brennan going silent. That's crazy. And Comey, man, those are the ones. It's Schiff, Comey, Brennan, Clapper. I don't care if I never see them again. I'd like to see them on trial, but that's it. Never want to hear from them anywhere else. And Comey's stupid tweets. McCabe drops his wrongful termination suit against the DOJ. That was pretty crazy. And Page edited General Flynn's 302s. Wow. And then also, juicier than that, Page being in having an extramarital affair also with McCabe. Ooh, what a slut. And Steve Forbes defending Trump and the legitimacy of Barr's investigation. Of course it's not political. It was going on since before this whole stupid impeachment crap. Ugh. And then the FBI, the best thing in the world, dropping the Finders stuff in the vault. Go to the FBI vault and put in Finders. You can download it. It's a 300-page document, and it's about the CIA involvement in a pedo satanic cult. Also in there some stuff from a California case during the satanic panic thing in the 90s. I really think they're prepping the people. Hopefully, they're hoping that the people will get this document out, get everybody up to speed on the CIA's involvement in sex trafficking and get that whole satanic ritualistic abuse, get that out in the open so people understand what it is. They get over their total shock about it, and then when it comes up that some of our most prominent leaders that you're supposed to respect are involved in this, that this is an elite politician Hollywood thing that really truly exists right now, people won't be so shocked if they've already read the Finders, the drops that were in the FBI vault. So, my headphones came out. Sorry about that. Wait, maybe I'll pause this and spare you the agony of the noise. I'm back again. I will leave the link to the Finders document in the description box. Please download it and read a couple pages of it. It's some pretty crazy stuff. And, probably a million other things happened. I love the picture of the dog that captured our terrorist. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read an article about Q. And the article is called 25 Questions for the Rational QAnon Skeptic. Here are 25 logical questions for the rational QAnon skeptic that will help you choose between opposing narratives. And this was, I'm trying to see where this originally, Martin Getty's. Okay. When two narratives go to war. Oh, I can't get this. Sorry. If you're going to tell a heinous lie, make sure it's a really humongous one. Accuse the other side of all that you're guilty, and ensure facts do not get in your way of the truth. These psychological warfare tactics, be they in the manner of Goebel, Alinsky, or Orwell, make finding the truth a confusing and costly matter for the public. Many give up, forced by the urgency to slave away in the system that told and sold them the lie in the first place. The United States, and by proxy all societies aspiring to liberty, is presently driven by a social and political divide, represented by two violently opposing narratives. We can characterize these somewhat cartoonishly as fake news versus Orange Man bad. I believe that the resolution of this difference is the core issue in understanding the whole landscape of modern multimedia communications. The fake news hypothesis runs thus. The mass media is controlled, coordinated, and corrupt, what with it being run by a crooked power elite. It is a mafia media being used to cover for organized criminality by a long-standing gangster government. The mainstream media uses gaslighting, propaganda, and mind control techniques to socially engineer public opinion. The QAnon phenomenon is helping to prepare and guide a brainwashed population towards a difficult reality. And then you've got the Orange Man bad hypothesis, is the converse. The MSM is legitimate journalism that is broadly telling you the truth and is reasonably trustworthy. They're doing their job of holding an often corrupt power elite to account. The President of the United States is a traitor and a crook. As a consequence of this, the QAnon phenomenon is a conspiracy theory that deserves no credence, legitimacy, or attention. I accept that this is a false dichotomy. All parties could be evil, or Q could be the world's smartest controlled opposition, or some other possibility. I acknowledge that whilst these two positions are mutually exclusive, they are not collectively exhaustive. For the sake of argument, since we face a polarity of opinion, let's assume for now it's a binary choice. A primer on the semantics of Q. How can we decide between those diametrically opposed views, silos of belief, which appear logical and factual to their vociferous adherents? The QAnon process appears to be constructed to resolve this dilemma by using simple reasoning, a kind of Occam's laser cutter. Okay. This simplifies a wildly complex set of data, part of an information war battlefield, into a single rational choice. In order to reason about Q in this dilemma, it helps to have a baseline understanding of what Q is. To borrow and pervert some terminology from computer science, Q has both explicit and covert denotational semantics, the what being overt, textual and image Q drops, together with various other hidden encodings of information, for example, the timing of drops and gematria. Both explicit and opaque operational semantics, the how, we operationally experience the drops happening on these exotic social media websites, which are game reserves for free speech, for real free speech. But everything behind these drops is invisible to us, hidden by a veil of secrecy. An unknown but inferable intentional semantics, which is the why. The stated aim is to make America great again via a great awakening. This could be a trick or a trap, and we can only decide by history unfolding in front of us. Note that Q claims no direct authority. The repeated exhortation is to trust yourself only and do your own research. Q explicitly acknowledges that disinformation is mixed into the drops. This is in direct opposition to the way the MSM works, which asserts that they are credible as a result of their accumulated brand value and trust. and also because the enemy is reading it. A QAnon is an anon, a typically anonymous social media user who observes the drops by Q on 4chan, 8chan, or 8kun and performs their own research to vet and validate the data being offered. Q itself is not something that is true or false. The drops clearly exist, so it is a matter of how we interpret the trove of data offered. A link between Q and POTUS is evidenced by what we have colloquially been named as proofs, such as Q posting less than a minute before POTUS tweets. There are about 500 such proofs, which individually are merely evidence, but collectively form a strong basis of fact. So 25 questions to ask yourself about Q. 1. Do you agree that MSM has synchronized messages and similar wording when reporting on QAnon? Does this appear to support or refute the fake news hypotheses? I would say in everything they do, they have the same message. 2. Do you agree that there appears to be little or no diversity of editorial approaches and opinions on Q or POTUS? How do you make sense of this near unanimity across the MSM? 3. The MSM has not reported on the specific content of the Q drops, only referring to them indirectly. How do you account for this journalistic choice? 4. The MSM has not encouraged the public to examine the associated open source intelligence by QAnons. What does this say about their attitude towards independent thought? 5. The MSM won't discuss the validity of the evidence of a Q-Trump link, i.e. operational semantics that are a question of proof that would stand up in court. Why do you think this is not covered in detail? 6. The MSM doesn't mention how Q tells you to reject any authority and to always research and think for yourself. How do you make sense of this in the context of the mass media's authority and trustworthiness? 7. The MSM has failed to analyze ways in which Q drops have foreshadowed major events. Why do you think this might be? 8. The MSM rarely discusses psychological warfare, the art of deception, and the use of disinformation, and if it does, typically ends with a piece denigrating Q and or POTUS. Which hypothesis does this appear to support? 9. The MSM offers only a binary Q is all true versus Q is a LARP or a hoax, rather than focusing on the content of the Q drops. How does this relate to each of the two hypotheses? Now, I don't know if they make any parallels to WikiLeaks, but that's almost the same thing. It's like, don't pay attention to the content of what's in there, just that it's possibly illegal for him to have them. I don't think it is. The MSM, number 10, the MSM won't ask the Q question of POTUS so that any association can be confirmed or refuted. Does this alone act as the proof of the fake news hypotheses or not? 11. The MSM won't even discuss the existence of this contentious Q question. What is your theory for this, rather than glaring omission and whether they are presenting both sides of the issue fairly and faithfully? 12. The MSM hasn't explored the extensive data supporting Q's assertions of criminality, for example, the Clinton Foundation. Even though there's an ongoing DOJ probe, why do you think this is? 13. The MSM hardly ever mentioned 4chan, 8chan, or 8kun before Q. What might be the significance of Q in making these a sudden focus of attention? 14. Those who reject the fake news hypotheses in favor of Orange Man Bad typically reference MSM sources as evidence. Do you agree or disagree whether this is a form of circular argument? 15. Many dismiss the types of question here on the basis that Q is a ridiculous conspiracy theory unworthy of discussion. Do you accept or reject this as another form of circular reasoning appealing to your hypothesis as an axiom? Number 16. POTUS has not dissociated himself from Q. What political impact would the exposure of Q have on his political capital, and how do you account for his action in an Orange Man Bad scenario? 17. There's been little or no speculation on who Q is by the MSM. Why might this be, given the significance of following Q. And number 18, if Q has accumulated a large following of citizens who are being led astray, this could be a foreign power waging psychological warfare against Americans. Why do you imagine there's no MSM analysis of how the greatest intelligent apparatus in the world cannot identify Q, especially if it's an individual in a basement? 19. The MSM doesn't give any prominence to the many well-known Q researchers in their articles. Why might this be? 20. If Q is disproven, why is there no analysis in the MSM of the propaganda techniques being used and how Q exploits them? 21. If Q is a part of a cult of Trump, why does the MSM not offer kindness and compassion to cultists and present a viable path to show them the way out of their delusion? What does that say about the MSM's values? 22. If Q is a LARP, does this suggest that Q's been given false authority by believers? What does it say about our belief in authority in general versus reasoning for ourselves? Could the same false authority be applied to the MSM? 23. Those who come out as seeing the truth in the fake news hypothesis are often ostracized or bullied into silence. What does that say about those who believe Orange Man bad and the MSM that forms their media landscape? 24. When reading through this list of questions, did it raise issues or concerns that you hadn't considered before? 25. If so, why do you still believe the MSM? Aren't they fake news if they're withholding key questions, only presenting one side of a story and telling you what to think? Hope you enjoyed answering these questions and thinking for yourself. Even if, no, make that especially if, you believe Orange Man bad, you're entitled to come to your own conclusion without coercion or bullying by me or anyone else. Personally, I believe the rational choice of the two competing hypotheses is outstandingly obvious. The MSM is fake news. This makes every question trivially easy to answer using simple logic, whereas Orange Man bad demands absurd contortions and torture of the facts to fit the theory. Where we go one, we go all. So I thought that was a pretty good way of, basically it's getting around to the same thing, but it's a pretty good way of asking it where, how could they be ignoring something so big, so good for self-awareness and individual thought? I don't know, but the people I come across that don't want to hear it, don't want to hear it. They put up a wall and they won't get to even one question that's on here. And I hope you have better luck. I'm still waiting to get through to some people. And I'm hoping that things that are happening in the news are so crazy, it's gonna set off some red flags anytime now. So, I guess that's it for today. And sorry for the long absence. Tomorrow I will be back and with my new Patreon structure and some of the things that I'm giving away, because I'm really going to try and put a schedule together for free, I think 3 broadcasts or 4 broadcasts a week, and I've got some cool things. So tune in, you'll hear from me tomorrow, and have a great day. This is your cousin Sheri signing off. Bye.